Hey guys, Weekend Warrior Nate here, the Overlord with
Weekend Warrior Wench Woman.
So here today we're presenting another Malifaux bat report. It's been a while since we've done one of these and I apologize for that. Today we decided to do something a little bit different and special. We're doing a 100 Soulstone battle, single master still. I am personally running Lilith and the Neverborn.
And I have Rasputina and the Arcanist.
So the strategy that we have flipped for this battle is Reconnoiter. Our scheme pools are Vendetta, Protect Territory, Assassinate, Plant Evidence, and of course, as always, Line in the Sand. I have personally selected Plant Evidence and Protect Territory. I tend to like scheme strategies. The Cherub allows me to reduce the costs of performing these actions down a Soulstone. So I can drop ShieldBreakers as a 0 action, which is very useful since a lot of my models don't have 0 actions. This will allow me to get schemes on the board fairly easily and allow me to reshift my battle lines pretty fluidly as needed. My list is Lilith, who has Rapid Growth, Beckon Malifaux, and Living Blade. Barbaros and Nikema, I'm taking both of them as my henchmen. Nikema has Obsidian Talons and the True Mother. The rest of my list is a pair of Mature Nephilims, 3 Terratots, Lilitu, the Blackblood Shaman, and 3 Terratots. Should give me a pretty roundabout crew. There are no young Nephilim to start with, but it's pretty easy with 3, essentially, sources of growing on the battlefield. I can make sure that my Terratots grow up pretty efficiently. And hopefully using the True Mother, I can summon more Terratots on the battlefield later in the game. We'll see how that goes. My overall strategy is I have more models than she does, is to try to fan out and press the flanks. Possibly keep a minimum in the backfield to hold the back 2 quadrants and try to keep her in her quadrants. We'll see how well that goes.
I'm running Rasputina with Arcane Reservoir, which gives me an additional card in my hand. She's got December's Pawn, so I don't have to worry about Black Jokers, and Shattered Heart, which increases the effectiveness of her Ice Mirror. I have Miranda, who has Imbued Energies, as well as Skinwalker, which means she starts the game off buried and becomes unburied when one of her beast gets killed, sacrificed, or buried. I have the Wendigo. I have Kojo, who has Imbued Energies as well. I have an Ice Golem with Imbued Protection. 2 Saber-Tooth Kerberuses with Imbued Protection each. 2 Razor Spine Rattlers. A Slate Ridge Mauler. The Mechanical Rider, who also has Imbued Energies. And hopefully that will bring out some ice gaming for me to work with Rasputina. My overall strategy, the reason I went with Rasputina and Miranda is so that I had some range weaponry with Rasputina and some up-close muscle with Miranda. You'll see in my deployment style, I kind of made a wall of beasts that just charged down the battlefield. My schemes that I selected, I chose Plant Evidence because we do have a lot of terrain, thank you. A lot of terrain on the battlefield, so it won't be too difficult to get ShieldBreakers down next to the terrain items.
So the majority of the table is scattered terrain through trees, which will be providing self-cover if a model is within an inch and partially obscured by the base of the tree. We have a swamp, which is severe terrain, and then we have 2 hills that are 1-inch soft cover. Then we have 2 huts that are providing 3-inch dense blocking and impassable terrain. And hardcover if they happen to be obscuring you. So again, a lot of scatter terrain involved in this. The Reconnoiter marker is pretty much clear in the middle of the field. It's a largely open center field. We felt that slightly less terrain would function well for us due to the number of models that are involved in this battlefield. we'll see how it works out. I'm used to much denser terrain than this, as you've seen, like my Lilith versus Seamus battle report, where we literally fought the slums and we had heavy urban-scape terrain. So this will be different for me to be this open. Any other thoughts?
Nope, this is actually more terrain than I'm used to with the Malifaux battle. Fewer buildings than I'm used to, but more scattered terrain.
We'll see how the scatter terrain plays out. My crew doesn't have a whole lot of range attacks. A few casts here and there, but that's about it. Lilith's ability to summon an illusionary force will possibly come in handy this game. It's hard to say, as there's not a whole lot of choke points for me to utilize like I usually would. So that's going to be very different. Hopefully it'll just slow things down that aren't necessarily unimpeded, which she has a good handily amount of.
Most of my army is unimpeded.
So that may be a wasted upgrade, but it does give me instinctual and allow me to perform 2-0 actions, so I might get some salvage out of it anyways. Soon we'll be back with the deployment, and I hope you enjoyed. This is going to be a new format, and for those who've been watching our videos before, and we'd like to see your responses below as to what you think about the new format when we're done. See you in a bit. All right, and we're back for deployment. First thing you'll notice is the camera style has changed radically. We are now doing a top-down live stream of the battle. So for those who are asked for a more live approach, here's my attempt at it. So starting on my side, I have a mature Nephilim, the Hooded Rider, Barbaros, 3 Terratots, Blackblood Shaman, Lilith, Cherub, second mature Nephilim, Lilu, Lilitu, and Nikima. The premise of my strategy, I got to deploy second, so I have basically essentially created 3 fronts that I'm going to utilize to try to hyper-focus and take out specific targets that I have in mind. Hopefully it works. Who knows?
On my side, we have the Mechanical Rider, the First Edition Kerberos, Slate Ridge Mauler, First Edition Rattler, Ice Golem, Second Edition Rattler, Rasputina, Kojo, Second Edition Kerberos, and Wendigo. And Miranda is starting the game buried. I deployed first, so I was kind of just, like I said, making a wall of 40 and 50 mil bases and pushing forwards. Most of my guys are unimpeded, so they shouldn't really care too much about the swamp, which is the only real severe terrain we have out here. So these guys don't care.
Again, as mentioned before, the trees, height 3, soft cover, if you're within an inch of them and your base is partially obscured by it. Buildings, height 3, blocking impassable terrain.
And hard cover if your base is covered.
The hills are 1-inch terrain. There are no movement penalties, but they can provide soft cover. And the swamp itself is just severe terrain, and that's about it. And with that, the game will begin.
Turn 1 has begun in earnest. Monica winning the initiative, the Wench woman declares Kojo will perform a double walk, advancing more towards the center of the field. The Overlord responds by taking advantage of the mature Nephilim's flight to position the mature Nephilim in a higher ground position. The Wench woman has responded by activating Kerberos 1, performing a double walk action. After judging her distances, she decides to finish the action by declaring a stalk against Nikima. Overlord activates the Cherub, performs a double walk, positioning it close to the center field. Remember, the Overlord has declared Protect Territory, taking advantage of the Cherub's ability to reduce the cost of interact actions. Wenchwoman then decides to activate the Slate Ridge Mauler, performing a double walk, centering on the field and threatening the Cherub. Overlord then selects Terratot A, declaring a double walk and ending the Terratot's movement within 3 inches of the Cherub, allowing it to drop a scheme marker as a 0 action, thanks to This Is Our Land. As a follow-up, the Wenchwoman has activated Kerberos 2, performing a double walk and declaring a stalk action on the Hooded Rider. Overlord then elects to move the Hooded Rider in a single walk, using the second action to declare defensive. This allows the Wenchwoman to perform the stalk action with the Kerberos, taking a single walk. Wenchwoman now selects and activates the Razor Spine Rattler 2, performing a double walk action. Overlord then selects and moves Barbaros a single walk using his Nimble characteristic. He then completes Barbaros' activation by performing another single walk and using his final remaining action point to drop a scheme marker. Arcanist now activate Razor Spine Rattler 1 and performs a double walk. Overlord then activates Terratot B, performing a sprint action, which is successful, allowing him to perform a second walk. He completes the activation with a defensive. Arcanist then activates the Ice Golem, performing a double walk action. The Overlord again takes advantage of the Mature Nephilim's flight ability to claim the higher ground in a double walk action. Wenchwoman then activates the Mechanical Rider, performing a double walk. Overlord then nominates Lilith to target the Mechanical Rider with Lure. Mechanical Rider's ability imposes a negative flip to the willpower tool, causing Lilith to fail the first attempt. Lilith attempts again, resulting in another failure. Curse at Mechanical Rider. The Wenchwoman responds to this dastardly attempt by advancing Rasputina up once, putting Rasputina within 10 inches of the Ice Golem, allowing her to utilize the Ice Mirror ability, which she has taken the upgrade for. This puts the Ice Golem within range of the Mature Nephilim to utilize December's Curse. This attack has resulted in a tie, flipping a double negative on the damage, resulting in weak damage. Taking into account the Mature Nephilim's armor, results in 1 damage to the Mature Nephilim. But this attack has triggered Overpower, allowing her a second free attempt but at -2 cast. After the cards are flipped and the Overlord opts to cheat, the Wenchwoman misses the second attack. Rasputina finishes her activation by once again targeting the Mature Nephilim with December's Curse. After the initial flips are done, the Mature Nephilim is losing. The Overlord opts to cheat, bringing it to a -1 accuracy. Rasputina flips her damage after choosing not to cheat, securing moderate damage, which is 4 blast. With the Mature Nephilim's armor, that does 3 points of damage, and there is no one in range of the blast marker. Now that outright war has been declared, the Overlord nominates Nekima to perform a double walk action, engaging the Mechanical Rider and using Melee Expert to declare a melee attack. Nekima's attack connects with a -1 accuracy, inflicting weak damage for 3 on the Mechanical Rider. Nekima, having performed a double walk, allows the Kerberos to perform the stalk action declared on her earlier that turn. Which brings the Wenchwoman to her final activation of turn 1, a double walk with the Wendigo. With the Wench woman complete, Overlord begins activating his final models. Lilith performs a double walk. Teratatsi also performs a double walk, followed by Blackblood Shaman with yet again another double walk. For the Overlord's final activation, he performs a walk action with Lilith and attempts to summon an illusionary force. Flipping the Black Joker ensures a failure at this attempt. He then performs a terror test against Razorspine Rattler 1, which he succeeds. This allows Lilith to attempt the Wicked Vines action twice, both of which fail, thus concluding turn 1, victory point scores 0 to 0 at this stage. On to turn 2. Turn 2 begins, again with the Wenchwoman winning initiative, activating Razorspine Rattler 1, performing a Slither action to engage the Blackblood Shaman. The attack succeeds in a hit, inflicting 3 damage and 2 poison on the Blackblood Shaman. This also triggers the Vendetta scheme for the Wenchwoman, scoring her the first victory point for herself and of the game. The Overlord responds by activating Nikima, targeting the Mechanical Rider with a melee attack using Melee Expert. The attack succeeds and hits with a -1 accuracy, inflicting 3 damage. The second attack, her first action point, also connects against the Mechanical Rider, also with a -1 accuracy, inflicting 2 damage. Her third action, a final attack on the Mechanical Rider, inflicts 4 damage, killing the Mechanical Rider. This triggers the Bloody Beauty melee trigger from Nikima, which puts the Kerberos in range of the effect. The Kerberos succeeds in the required duel, thus ending Nikima's activation. Wenchwoman then activates Kerberos 1, performing a walk action to engage Nikima. The attack swings, and the duel results in a tie, but the Wenchwoman flips a Black Joker for the damage, resulting in 0 damage to Nikima. She then performs a leap action as a 0 action, succeeding with a Red Joker, leaping away from Nikima and into combat with Lilith. Overlord then activates the Blackblood Shaman, which is already engaged with the Rattler after its activation earlier this turn. He declares 2 melee actions against the Razorspine Rattler, both of which failing. It's obvious to all that the Shaman, not that greatest at melee. Wenchwoman then activates the Slate Ridge Mauler, performing a double walk to engage Nikima with its 4-inch 0 action Bear Hug ability. The Bear Hug does succeed, causing Nikima to be pushed into base-to-base contact with the Slate Ridge Mauler and granting Nikima slow. The Overlord responds by activating the Mature Nephilim Thak. He charges Kojo, performing 2 melee attacks. The first one hits at a -1 accuracy, performing 5 damage. The second one also hits at a -1 accuracy, performing 4 damage, for a total of 9 damage to Kojo. Wenchwoman then activates Kojo in response, using his 2 AP action Rampage, inflicting a hit at a -1 and 2 damage on Thak. This triggers Black Blood, which kills Kojo as he only had 1 point remaining, and inflicting 1 point of damage to Razorspine Rattler 2. Next activation is Barbaros, who declares a charge on the Razorspine Rattler that just suffered Black Blood. The first attack results in a hit at a -1 accuracy and 2 damage inflicted on the Razorspine Rattler. The second attack results in a miss. The next activation is Kerberos 2, charging the Hooded Rider. The first attack hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 2 damage. The second attack hits at a straight, inflicting 4 damage. To finish off the activation, the Kerberos attempts to perform a leap, which fails. Overlord then responds by activating Lilith. Lilith targets Razorspine Rattler 1 with a melee attack, which hits and inflicts 3 damage. Performs a second melee attack, which also hits and inflicts 3 damage, with a final melee attack missing due to a Black Joker. To complete her activation, she performs the Illusionary Forest as a 0 action. placing it between two forests attempting to block line of sight. Activating Rasputina and targeting Thak, who is engaged in combat. Rasputina performs a randomization, which does connect against Thak. This attack hits at a +1 accuracy, inflicting 3 damage and blast, doing 1 damage to Barbaros. This triggers Black Blood, which will do 1 damage to the Razor Spine Rattler. She performs a second December's Curse, also targeting Thak, and again succeeding in randomization, doing 1 damage to Thak and killing him. The third action is a December's Curse using Icy Mirror, targeting Terratot C, which misses. Overlord's next activation is to activate Terratot B, engaged in Razor Spine Rattler 1, performing a melee attack. The first melee attack hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage. The second attack hits, inflicting 2 damage. Wenchwoman then activates Razor Spine Rattler 2, engaged with Barbaros, performing 2 melee actions. The first one fails due to a Black Joker. The second one fails due to results on the deck. Overlord then activates Terratot C, charging Razor Spine Rattler 1. The attack connects at a -2 accuracy, surprisingly flipping 3 severe cards on the damage code. This damage kills the Razor Spine Rattler, allowing the Terratot to grow because of the Black Blood Shaman. The Terratot then being sacrificed and being replaced by Young Nephilim Bravo. Ice Golem then activates and performs a double walk. Using its melee expert ability, performs a melee attack against the Terratot, hitting at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 3 damage and slow. Overlord activates the Hooded Rider, engaged with Kerberos 2. Attempts to perform 2 melee attacks, both of which miss the Kerberos. She has had some unholy luck with that Kerberos' defensive flips. Wenchwoman then activates the Wendigo. Wendigo performs a single walk action, getting base-to-base contact with Terrain Piece, dropping a scheme marker to be utilized later for plant evidence. Next is Lilith, who activates and casts Whispers in the Blood, a one action that grants her and Lilu a plus flip in all resulting duels until the end of the turn. She then performs a melee attack against Kerberos 2, which misses. With Wenchwoman out of activations, Overlord proceeds to activate Lilu and fails a terror test against the Kerberos 2, discarding 2 cards to ensure that the Paralysis effect does not transfer due to same malignant force. Overlord activates the Cherub, performs a focus action. The resulting shooting attack hits the Ice Golem, inflicting 1 damage and pushing it into base-to-base contact with the Terratot, B, and the Young Nephilim, also giving the Golem slow. This triggers a Pounce attack, which red jokers the damage, inflicting 3 damage on the Ice Golem. Terratot A then performs a charge into the Ice Golem. The first attack misses due to a red joker on the defense flip. The second attack hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage on the Ice Golem. Next, we have the recently summoned Young Nephilim B, who performs his 1 melee attack against the Ice Golem. It hits and inflicts at a -1 accuracy, inflicts 2 damage, which triggers Bloodlust, which allows a free attack, which also hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 2 damage. The final activation of turn 2, Overlord activates the Mature Nephilim Ranith, who charges the Slate Ridge Mauler. The first melee attack misses. The second melee attack hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 4 damage. This concludes all activations of turn 2, scoring 1 victory point for the Overlord due to Reconnoiter, and due to the earlier score of Vendetta by the Wenchwoman, brings the end total to a 1-1 tie at the end of turn 2. Starter turn 3, Wenchwoman again wins initiative. Activating the Slate Ridge Mauler, performs a melee attack against Nikima, hitting with a -1 accuracy, inflicting 2 damage. Performs a second melee attack, which again hits with a -1 accuracy and inflicting 2 damage. Overlord's activation of turn 3 is Young Nephilim B. He attacks the Ice Golem with a melee attack, hitting at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage. This kills the Ice Golem, triggering Explosive Demise. which kills Terratot B, does 3 damage to Terratot A, and 3 damage to the young Nephilim. But this isn't an issue, as the young Nephilim uses the attack to grow into a mature Nephilim, bringing Thak back onto the field. Wenchwoman activates Kerberos 1, engaged with Lulu, and performs a melee attack. The attack fails due to a black joker. Kerberos 1 then performs a second attack on the Lulu, hitting, succeeding in performing a neutral flip for 4 damage against Lulu. Kerberos 1 ends its activation with a leap action. The Overlord moves the other side of the board and activates the Hooded Rider, engaged with Kerberos 2. Declares a melee attack against the Kerberos 2, which hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting weak damage, but due to the trigger, adds 3 damage to it for 5 total damage against the Kerberos. The Hooded Rider's second attack misses. Wenchwoman responds by activating Kerberos 2, performing a melee attack against the Hooded Rider. The attack hits at a plus accuracy, inflicting 1 damage. This triggers an additional free attack, also against the Hooded Rider. This attack hits at a negative accuracy, also inflicting 1 damage. Her third attack, second action point, hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting enough damage to kill the Hooded Rider. Flipping the red joker, she completes her activation with a leap action, positioning the Kerberos on, next to the forest. Overlord then activates Barbaros, engaged with Razor Spine Rattler 2. Targets the Razor Spine Rattler with a melee attack, which fails in the resulting terror test with a black joker, thus paralyzing Barbaros and ending the activation. Arcanist now activate the Wendigo, performing a walk action and deploying another scheme marker. Again, remember that the Wenchwoman has declared plant evidence as a scheme. Overlord activates Cherub, which performs a focus action. Targets Kerberos 1 with a shooting attack, which hits at no modifier and inflicting 3 damage and slow upon the Kerberos. This pushes the Kerberos 5 inches directly towards Lilith, which triggers her Thirsty Mandrake, which allows her to perform 1 melee attack. The melee attack hits at no modifier, inflicting 2 damage. Wenchwoman then decides to discard Immune Protection to reduce the damage inflicted. Activating Razor Spine Rattler 2, performs a melee attack against Barbaros. This attack misses. Performs a second melee attack against Barbaros, which connects, inflicts 2 damage and 2 poison upon Barbaros, also triggering Black Blood and doing 1 damage to Razor Spine Rattler 2. Overlord moves on to Lilith. Lilith targets the Kerberos 1, passing her terror test, and performs a melee attack, which misses. Performs a second melee attack, which hits at no modifier, inflicting 3 damage. Lilith's final action is an additional melee attack, which also hits with no modifier and 3 damage, killing Kerberos 1 and allowing Miranda to unbury, finally entering the battlefield. Having just unburied, Miranda activates and performs a walk action to engage Lilith. The melee attack hits at a +1 accuracy, inflicting 2 damage and 1 poison on Lilith. In response, Overlord activates a Terratot, performing a walk action to engage Miranda and performing a melee attack, which promptly misses. For her final activation, Wenchwoman activates Rasputina and performs a double walk action, putting Rasputina in range of the newly summoned Thak to perform a December's Curse. December's Curse hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage after armor, but triggers Overpower, allowing her to perform a second December's Curse. It also connects against Thak at a neutral, inflicting 3 damage. Activating Black Blood Shaman, Overlord targets Terratot A with Bloody Harvest, discarding a corpse marker and allowing the Terratot to grow into a young Nephilim.
Blackblood Shaman completes his activation by targeting the young Nephilim with Blackblood Pustule, succeeding in inflicting 2 damage upon Miranda. Overlord then activates the young Nephilim that was just summoned to attack Miranda. The attack misses. Overlord's next activation is Nikima, who targets the Slate Ridge Mauler with a melee attack, hitting at a -1 accuracy and inflicting 4 damage. Her second attack misses, and her final attack, thanks to melee expert, hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting 5 damage, dropping the Mauler down to 1 hit point due to hard to kill. Nikima then zero actions, blood for blood, succeeding, inflicting 1 point of damage to the Mauler, killing it. Next, Ranef is activated, and the mature Nephilim performs a double walk, threatening Rasputina. Lilith is inactivated, healing Lilu 1 damage due to same malignant force. Lilith then charges Miranda, hitting at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 2 damage, triggering Impure Thoughts. Miranda passes this test. Lilith's second attack also hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage, again triggering Impure Thoughts. Miranda fails, paralyzing Miranda. To complete the Overlord's actions, Thak, the mature Nephilim, declares a pass. Lilu performs a double walk. At the end of turn 3, the only victory point scored is by the Overlord for the strategy Reconnoiter, controlling 3/4 of the board. The Wenchwoman scores 0 this turn, bringing the score to 2-1 to the Overlord. Winning initiative, the Overlord activates Barbaros, engaging the Razor Spine Rattler with a melee attack, which hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 3 damage, killing the Rattler. He then uses Nimble to perform a walk action, and his final action point to drop a scheme marker. Wenchwoman's first activation is Rasputina, targeting Ranef with Freeze Over, which succeeds, paralyzing Ranef for the turn. Her second action is December's Curse, targeting Thak. This attack hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage. Her final action is again a December's Curse, this time targeting Barbaros, once again hitting at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage. Overlord activates Thak. The mature Nephilim charges Kerberos 2. Both melee attacks miss. Activating Kerberos 2, Wenchwoman attacks Thak. The attack connects at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 3 damage, triggering a free attack. This attack misses. Her second active action is another melee attack, hitting at a +2 accuracy, inflicting 6 damage, killing Thak. The activation ends with a successful leap. Overlord then attempts to have the young Nephilim attack Miranda twice. Both attacks miss. Wendigo then activates, performing a walk action and deploying yet another scheme marker for plant evidence. Blackblood Shaman then targets Miranda twice with Blackblood Pustule, attacking through the young Nephilim. Both attacks are successful. Miranda uses Soul Stones to prevent all the damage inflicted on both attacks. After which Miranda activates as the Wenchwoman's final activation of turn 4. Lilith then activates, attacking Miranda with her whip, hitting at a +1 accuracy and inflicting 4 damage, killing Miranda. Lilith then performs a short walk and deploys a scheme marker for Overlord's plant evidence action. Lilith then activates, passing her terror test, charging Kerberos 2. First attack hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 3 damage. The second attack misses. The third attack hits at a -2 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage. Next, Nikima performs a double walk, also threatening Rasputina. For the final activation, of turn 4, Overlord has Cherub perform a walk and attempts to shoot the Wendigo with a shoot action. This attack misses due to flipping a black joker. At the end of turn 4, Barbaros is the last model to take any poison damage, and the Overlord is the only one to score victory points, once again due to Reconnoiter controlling the majority of the board. Turn 5 begins with Overlord winning initiative and activating Nikima, who performs a charge against Rasputina. The attack hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 4 damage, but Rasputina manages to perform her Sub-Zero defensive trigger, immediately ending Nikima's activation. Wenchwoman then activates Kerberos, attempting a leap but failing. She then performs a walk action to engage Lilith, performing a melee attack and hitting at a -1 accuracy and inflicting 3 damage. But the Black Blood then kills the Kerberos.
Have it.
Ranith, the mature Nephilim, then
You can get
activates,
another book.
charging Rasputina. The melee attack hits at a -1 accuracy and inflicts 6 damage. Rasputina again triggers Sub-Zero, ending Ranith's activation immediately. For her final activation, Wenchwoman activates Rasputina,
Goes off.
performing a biting chill on Ranith, which hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 1 damage. She then proceeds to cast December's Touch upon herself,
So negative
succeeding in declaring the trigger to draw a card. Her final action is to again cast December's Touch on herself,
Moderate for 2 damage.
which gets her to a grand total of armor of +6.
I'm going to charge.
Lilith then activates and charges the Wendigo.
Okay.
The first attack misses. The second attack hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 3 damage. The third attack hits at a neutral flip, inflicting 6 damage, killing the Wendigo.
Really? Overkill.
Oh, no, tree.
And again, the tree.
Come here, you stupid critter.
With no more competition, the Overlord activates the young Nephilim Bee to perform a double walk,
There.
and
double walk over
Lilith
there.
to also perform a double walk, engaging the ski markers deployed for protect territory.
Right. I gotta.
Lilu also performs a double walk. Blackblood Shaman then performs a walk action and performs a Blackblood Pustule,
It's on that piece of paper that I don't know
damage
where
on
that.
Rasputina after its success.
It might be.
The Cherub then performs a double walk action. The final activation of the game goes to Barbaros, who charges Rasputina. The first melee attack misses, as the Wenchwoman cheats using a black joker, but due to December's pawn, it counts as a red joker. His second attack hits at a -1 accuracy, inflicting 1 point of damage. This attack kills Rasputina. With this, we go to the end of the game. The Wenchwoman scores an additional 3 victory points, all due to plant evidence. She scores no additional victory points to the Vendetta, because the Blackblood Shaman is still alive at the end of the game, bringing her total to 4 victory points. The Overlord scores his final victory point for Reconnoiter, bringing all 4 for that total. Scores 2 victory points for plant evidence, as he has deployed 2 scheme markers and declared this scheme at the beginning of the game. His final 3 victory points come from Protect Territory, again deploying 2 scheme markers and declaring the scheme at the beginning of the game, bringing the final total 10 to 4, the Overlord.
And welcome back to the post-battle. So we had a pretty bloody fight. The final score was me 10, the Wenchwoman 4. So the VPs didn't go as strongly as she would like, obviously. Again, my schemes were protect territory, plan evidence, and of course the Reconnoiter strategy.
I had the plant evidence, and I ended up having Vendetta, which I was using one of the Razor Spine Rattlers against the Blackblood Shaman. Managed to get the initial point for using his first attack against the Blackblood Shaman, but unfortunately the Blackblood Shaman was still on the field at the end of the game, so that was the only point I got from that scheme.
He likes to hide in the middle of my army. mostly around a herd of Terratots, since he can benefit them and help expedite their growing if they can't kill things on their own. So what were your thoughts of the battle?
I managed to get leap off with the Kerberos 4 out of 5 times, which is a record for me. I usually have a hard time getting that mask suit. Now, 2 of those times was using a red joker, flipped from the deck. So that was a little insane and overkill. So the Kerberos managed to... Usually my Kerberos charge forward and die. That's how I use them, that's what they do, they go away. This game, they ate things and they ran away and they managed to do a decent amount of damage before they started getting killed.
Yeah, this one Kerberos taking up the one of the flanks managed to eat the Hooded Rider and a mature Nephilim before Lilith was finally able to put it into his rampage. And not even Lilith actually killed him, he killed himself attacking Lilith.
Yes, he was brought down to 1 wound and then got black-blooded.
I managed to do that twice throughout the course of the game, actually. So, the Hooded Rider got stalled by the Kerberos, got murdered. I completely fell apart on that one flank. The other flank with Nikima, she was pretty much held up between the Mechanical Rider, which she managed to drop turn 2 before it was able to summon any game in, which probably was a big swing for the battle in my favor. It restricted what Rasputina can Ice Mirror out of. Then Slate Rich Mauler tied her up for a little bit longer. The other Kerberos made its way through, tried to do some damage to Nikima. Did some, I believe he did 2 damage to her.
Yeah, he wasn't too interested in doing damage to her.
No. And then made his way through the Lilu and the Twos and basically forced my army on that flank to double back almost into my deployment zone to handle him. And then he turned into Miranda at the next to last turn of the game.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Miranda, I took the Skinwalker upgrade for Miranda. She started out buried. I forgot to unbury her when Kojo died. When the next beast died, which was the Razor Spine Rattler with the Blood Shaman, it was kind of in the middle of all these Terratots and Lilith, and I didn't really want her brought out then. And then that Kerberos died, and I was like, alright, I was almost out of beast, so I kind of needed to bring her out. It wasn't where I wanted her, though. It was way too far away from everybody else to utilize her defense boost and her healing abilities.
Yeah.
And she kind of ended up being paralyzed before she could shapeshift.
Lilith too got lucky enough to pull off Impure Thoughts on her twice, and she failed the second willpower duel. I'm actually kind
Which is impressive considering she's got like a 6 willpower.
It was, and it requires a double mass to pull off the trigger in the first place. I was actually kind of surprised. I managed to get your beast broken up quite a bit. Normally you try to keep them in kind of a pack mentality, and this time they all got all sorts of scattered.
But that's usually when I have Miranda in the middle of them.
True.
That's why I keep them in a pack. Is so because Miranda's bubble is only 3 inches.
Right, which made it hard to figure out where would be a good place for Miranda to come out. Because usually she'd come out and there wouldn't be any beasts near enough to benefit from her.
Which was why it was such a big deal. I forgot about her with Kojo, because when Kojo died, it was still fairly early on.
True.
Everybody was still grouped together. It wouldn't have been that difficult to have everybody around her, or at least a couple of them around her.
And that Rattler probably would have been able to kill Barbaros then with the defensive buffs.
Yes.
Nikima with the True Mother. Well, there's really no point giving her the True Mother after I deployed her because she wound up on her own little corner with no Terratots to benefit. She was never in a position to discard the corpse counter to try to summon a Terratot. It pretty much turned into a waste of points on that aspect. Same with Obsidian Talons. I think I forgot about it the entire game, actually. That and the few times I did think about it, I was dealing with like the Slate Ridge Mauler, which was impossible to wound. Rasputina managed to keep herself out of the fight pretty well, though.
Mm-hmm. Partly because everything was so far away from her, and because she does have, with the Ice Mirror and Shattered Heart, she can, the closest she has to be to something is 10 inches. And then they can draw their range another 12 inches from that, so she doesn't have to be anywhere near them.
22 inches away and still spell bombing. It hurts.
She did pretty good with December's Curse. I managed to paralyze one of the mature Nephilim to keep him from charging me, so that was fantastic. And then got armor +6 on her at the end because she didn't have anything to do. She ended up engaged with Nekima and that mature Nephilim the next turn. And
Barbaros.
And her only close action is a 0 action. So unless she gets the trigger off for doing it again and again and again, she's done at that point because the rest of her casting is projectiles, except for her armor +2 cast, which she got off 3 times.
Crazy. Overall, it was a good game. Very bloody. We had models engaged turn 1. A lot of destruction held on both sides. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the new format for the battle report. Please leave your comments below and like, link, and subscribe to the Weekend Warriors and the Wargamers Consortium. And this is presented by the ShieldBreakers and the Weekend Warriors. Thanks for watching.
Bye guys.